Hey, what's up guys? Welcome back, or it's the first time to my channel, welcome. Now, I've been thinking a lot about different types of series that I could start on my channel, and when I was on Periscope yesterday, I was asking my Periscope fam to give me some video ideas of what they wanted to see on my channel, and somebody suggested to do an everyday makeup starter kit, and I thought that was a genius idea, and I want to take that one step further. So I decided that I would start a series where I basically curate specific makeup kits for different occasions or different themes. So for me, the perfect everyday makeup kit doesn't have a ton of products, and the products that are actually included in this little kit that I put together are quite versatile and can be used in many different ways, because when I'm getting ready in the morning, the last thing I want to do is to use 30 products to get my face on. So not only am I going to be going over all the products in here, but I'm also going to be giving you guys my tips and tricks on how I like to actually use these products in order to get the most out of them. So I really hope that you guys are going to enjoy this new series and today's video. Please let me know in the comments what starter kit theme you'd like to see me do next. Without further ado, let's get into it. So let's first start off with the primer. Now, primers are a little bit more of like a personal makeup item. It really does depend on your skin type. However, I do feel like a really good moisturizing primer is good for absolutely everybody. So when your skin is just hydrated and nicely moisturized, yes, even if you do have oily skin, it's really just gonna help all of your other makeup just lay so much nicer on the skin. So two of my favorites are the Glossier Priming Moisturizers and the Coconut Skin Smoothie Priming Moisturizers. I use these interchangeably. I love them both. And especially with the Coconut Skin Smoothie Priming Moisturizer, I do find that this one really does help with the longevity of my makeup. It doesn't just hydrate my skin. It's not the best primer for longevity, but it does definitely help. So next, let's move on to foundations. Now for this makeup kit, I really wanted to have a foundation that was also very versatile, that can be built up to a heavier coverage when needed, but can also be sheared down when you want a little bit of a lighter coverage. And for me, the perfect foundation to do that with is the Makeup Forever Ultra HD Invisible Cover Stick Foundation. This foundation is really wonderful because you are able to get anything from a light to a full coverage with this, just depending on the way that you apply it. If you do want more of like a light coverage with this stuff, you can just take a wet sponge like a beauty blender, dab it into the foundation, and then just go directly into your skin, and that will give you a very light coverage. And of course, if you want a fuller coverage, you could blend this stuff out with a dense buffing brush, and it will really keep that coverage there. So that's why I think this is really great for this starter kit, because depending on your mood, depending on your day, if you're breaking out or if you're having a really good skin day, this will sort of just help you out in all of those circumstances. Of course, you do want to add some concealer to the makeup kit. Now this is again very personal preference, not really much to say about it, but I would recommend something like the Maybelline Fit Me concealer. I have been personally really enjoying it lately. I think it is totally comparable to many higher end concealers, and it looks really beautiful and hydrating underneath the eyes. It's not too heavy or too full coverage that it looks really stark. You could even use just the concealer on the areas of your face where you feel like you want to brighten up a little bit. Soft foundation if you want to really get ready really quickly. So that is why I would recommend, of course, putting concealer in your makeup kit. A nice translucent powder is also important. The reason why I would recommend a translucent powder is because this will work well underneath the eyes as well as on the face, and since it is translucent, it won't like change or alter the shade of your foundation or concealer. So it's a little bit more versatile than a colored powder. I would also recommend getting a pressed powder solely because it will take up a lot less room in your makeup bag. Typically, loose powders are a little bit more bulky. This one from Rimmel, the Stay Matte, is a really great option. And if you have dry skin, don't let the Stay Matte scare you, because I've stayed far away from this powder for the longest time because I thought that it would make my skin look dry and cakey, but it really doesn't do that at all. It's actually quite a beautiful finely milled powder that doesn't look too heavy. So like I said earlier, for me it was really important to include products in this kit that are very versatile, that can be used throughout the face so that you can get ready in a much quicker and efficient manner. So I wanted to recommend the Bite Multi-Stick. So they're basically just a cream product. They come in so many different shades, and they all have a completely matte formula. And even though they are a cream, when you apply them to the skin, they almost dry down to more of like a powdery texture. Depending on the shade, of course, you can use them on your lips, on your cheeks, and on your eyes. Now, I wanted to personally recommend 3 specific shades that I think would look great on those 3 areas of the face. So the first shade that I wanted to recommend that I think looks great on the eyes, cheeks, and lips is Praline, and this is more of like a dusty coral nude. And this type of shade will also really brighten up your face since it's a little bit more on like the coral side. I do feel like coral corals really do just add a lot of brightness to the skin. Now I also wanted to recommend more of like a neutral shade. So I have two over here depending on your skin tone. If you are closer to my skin tone or even lighter, then I would go towards the shade Blondie, which looks like this. This is like the perfect neutral nude shade. This looks really beautiful on the lips. It's just a nude lip color. It also looks great on the eyes just to like have a nice wash of color there, and it also actually looks really cool on the cheeks for more of like a neutral understated blush look. Now if you have a bit of a deeper skin tone, then I would go for the shade Cashew. This is also a really beautiful nude, but of course it is a little bit deeper and it does lean just slightly more pink, but I do think that that is really flattering. Lastly, I wanted to recommend more of a pinky shade. This is the shade Papaya, and as you can see, it's a little bit of a brighter pink. I think that this would look great on absolutely every single skin tone. And what's really nice also about these is that you could basically customize how intense you want them to look. So you can either build it up so you have a nice amount of color payoff, or you can apply them pretty sheerly on your cheeks, eyes, and lips in order to get more of like a wash of colors. Now I did also want to include a powder blush. This is the Essence Satin Touch blush in the shade Satin Coral. This is again a very affordable product. It's like under $4, I'm pretty sure, and it's probably one of my favorite blush formulas. It's very smooth and satiny, and it just glides on the face super easily without much effort. You don't have to worry about over applying this and getting clown cheeks. It's like a very easy blush to work with. And of course, because this is a powder, you don't only have to use it on your cheeks. You could also use your blush on your eyelids as well. I actually do that all the time, and again, it creates a really pretty monochromatic look, and I get so many compliments whenever I wear my blush on my eyes. I'm not really sure why that is, but I think it's actually quite flattering, especially a shade like this. It sort of will just add a nice wash of color. Now, as for a bronzer, I wanted to recommend something that leaned a little bit more neutral so that you could use it for both bronzing and contouring, because if a bronzer is too warm, you can't really contour with it, and if it's too cool, you can't really bronze with it. So I wanted to recommend the Tarte Park Avenue Princess. This one I am able to use for both contouring and bronzing, which again just adds to the versatility of this little makeup kit that we got going on. And of course, it is a powder, so you can use it on your eyes as well. I use my bronzer on my eyes all the time, especially for on an everyday basis when, again, I just want a little bit of color there. And I also like blending this on my lower lash line to add a bit of a shadow. I find that it sort of just makes my eyes look a little bit more defined. And I forgot to mention that this is matte, which is also very important. Now, you can never forget about the brows. I personally absolutely hate doing my brows, so I would love to be able to forget about them. But at the end of the day, they do make a really big difference on the face, so I would recommend not skipping on them. If you want to go just really minimal, then I would just recommend applying some brow gel to your brows. This one's from Anastasia. It's my all-time favorite. It works really great at just keeping your brow hairs in place, doesn't let them move around throughout the day. And even if you don't fill them in, it sort of just gives them a little bit more of a groomed appearance, which is always nice. Now, if you do want to fill in your brows, then I would recommend using a powder. This is the Tarte Amazonian Clay Volumizing Brow Powder in the shade Medium Brown. The reason why I would recommend a powder is because if you have a brow powder that leans a little bit more on the cool tone side, if it's like a taupey brown, then you could actually use it as a contour powder. This one from Tarte actually would work really great as a contour powder because it's nice and cool tone. I'm actually gonna put some on now because I'm not wearing any contour, just to show you guys that you can use this as a contour powder. And because it is quite a large size, it actually works well with like a big brush. So I'm just gonna use it right underneath my cheekbones, and you can see it creates that shadow. You do want to make sure, however, that you don't use a powder that's too cool toned. This only really works if the shade is correct, but if it is correct, then there you go. You got yourself a brow powder and a contour powder. Ba-bam. So now moving on to the eyes. Now, originally I wasn't actually going to include an eyeshadow palette in this kit just because I don't feel like it's totally necessary to put in the kit, since most of these products are meant to have like a really like minimal makeup look, but I figured I would include it just to give you guys the option and you can decide for yourself. It is the Tarte Clay Play Face Shaping Palette, and it looks like this. Now, this palette isn't like super exciting. It doesn't have like a ton of fun colors in here or anything like that, but that's sort of the point. Now, not only does this palette contain eyeshadows, which are up here, but it also does have bronzers and contour powders, which are over here. So if you were to actually get this palette, then you don't have to include a separate bronzer in your little makeup kit, which I thought was great. So because all the shades in here are matte, except for this one over here, they can be used in many different ways. For example, example, the deeper shades like the black, even the browns can be used as eyeliner on a little like tiny detail brush. You can also use more of the cool tone shades over here as a brow powder, so you don't even have to have an extra brow powder if you do have this palette. And that's why I just really like this palette. It has the staples that you need, and they are very useful throughout the face. Now another eye product that I wanted to recommend for the kit is this Nude Sticks Eye Pencil Sheer Color in the shade Stardust. Now this again will depend on your skin tone. You may need to get a bit of a deeper shade if you do have a deeper skin tone, so just keep that in mind. Now this is basically just a cream eyeshadow in a pencil format. Now the reason why I wanted to recommend this is because, again, say it with me everybody, it's versatile. I feel like that's the key word of this video. So I really like using products like this in the inner corners of my eye to really brighten it up on my brow bone, all over my lid, just to give me like a nice all over highlight shade. And this also works amazingly well as a cheek highlighter. So what I like to do is I like to just swipe it on the tops of my cheekbones. Let's do it now just for funsies. I go like this, and then I'll take my beauty blender or my fingers and then just blend it out, and it gives a beautiful, beautiful highlight. And I also think having a really nice highlight shade like this is so essential to have, especially in like an everyday kit, because it will really just brighten up and open up the eyes, especially if you're feeling tired. A really light shimmery shade will really just brighten and just make everything pop. Now next we've got eyeliners. Now there's so many pencil eyeliners on the market. Odds are you probably already have a black and a brown in your collection. These from NYX are some of my favorites. They are the slide on, glide on eyeliners. They are really, really creamy and they last very, very well. And the pigment in these are very intense. I wanted to choose a black and a brown just because sometimes you want a little bit of a softer look, and in that case, you would go for the brown, but sometimes you want the drama, and in that case, you would go for the black. So this one is jet black, and then the brown is the shade Brown Perfection. And because these eyeliners are so creamy, they're not like a dry formula, you could actually go in with a little angle brush like this, sort of draw the eyeliner onto the brush, and you can go with that on your upper lash line, and you can create a really small little line. You could create a wing. It's really up to you. And like I said, because they are super creamy, you are able to do that, and they are very long wearing as well, so they won't like necessarily smudge throughout the day. Now as for mascara, again, that's a little bit more of like a personal thing. You can use whatever mascara works for you and your lashes, but I wanted to recommend Tarte Lifted because this isn't a fully black mascara. It's more of like a really, really rich and deep brown. And the reason why I really like this one is because it just gives a little bit of a softer effect, especially for every day. I also find that it lasts really well, and it gives my lashes a really nice effect as well. So as for the lip color for this little makeup kit, I really wanted to go for something that was just simple and your lips but better. So I went for the ColourPop Lippy Sticks, and this is in the shade Faded. This shade in particular looks really, really great, especially for every day when you just like dot it on your lips and rub it out with your finger, because it almost just slightly stains your lips. And because the shade is so close to like a natural lip color shade, it doesn't look too much or too crazy. And of course, like I said, you are able to build this up in order to get something a little bit more intense. If you want to use like the same lip color at night and you want to sort of like amp it up a bit, you can do that. Last but not least, I wanted to recommend a lip balm. So this is the GlossierBalm.com Universal Skin Salve. I wanted to recommend this one in particular because it is in like a little squeezy tube, so you're actually able to squeeze it out. And because of that, you can use it in a few ways throughout the face. So of course you can put this on your lips by itself just to give your lips a little bit of like a sheen, and of course it's very hydrating, so you're also gonna hydrate your lips at the same time. You could also apply it on top of your lip color in order to add a little bit of like a glossy finish if you want. And because like I said, it's in a squeezy tube, you can also apply a little bit of this to the tops of your cheekbones like this, a very, very small amount, might I add. You do not want to go in with a lot, and this will give you a beautiful glossy highlight. So there you go. And you'll just get that really gorgeous glossy wet skin effect. And you could also use this trick on bare skin if you want a really, really natural looking highlight, because of course this is not going to have any shimmer or like metallic sheen to it. It's literally just going to give you that glossy highlighted look, and it will make your skin look really nice and hydrated, especially if you're wearing very minimal or no makeup. So guys, that is it. All of the makeup that we just spoke about all fits in this little makeup bag, and everything you need is right here. Like I said, please let me know in the comments what makeup kit you'd like to see me curate next, because I had a really fun time putting this together, and I really do hope that this helped you guys out. And please, if you put together your own makeup kit, send me a photo on Instagram, Twitter, Snapchat, wherever. I would love to see it. And if you make any changes to the kit or put your own spin on it, would love to see that as well. Give this video a big thumbs up, and of course subscribe if you're not subscribed already, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye.